Okay, welcome everyone to the annual meeting of the Board of Directors of the Environmental Facilities Corporation. It is 12:31 maybe, June 20th, 2024. Madam Secretary, could you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chair Spanco.
Here.
Director Westerman.
Here.
Director Leary.
Here.
Director Corcoran.
Here.
Director Krasansky.
Here.
Director Zarowski.
I am here.
Note for the record that Director Markey could not be with us today, but we do have a quorum of the board.
Excellent. First item of business is approval of the draft minutes from the May 23rd board meeting. The only absentee last time was Director Krasansky. Any discussion? Wonderful. I'll take a motion and a second for that approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis.
Seconded.
Thank you, Adam. All those in favor of the approval of the draft minutes? Aye.
Aye.
You're unanimous. I have nothing to report. We got a big agenda, so happy to get after it. Madam President.
First, there'll be a little speed bump.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly, the WIA and IMG applications were due last Friday. And despite the long application period, they all mostly came in the last week. We received a total of 383 applications, 235 for drinking water and 148 for clean water, which is about typical. It's usually about 60 drinking water and 40% clean water. So we got about what's typical. We're still reviewing, so we'll give you updates as they become available. Wanted to give an update on bill projects, the bipartisan infrastructure law. For both programs, the board, as of after this meeting, has approved a total of over $120 million in bill grant. That doesn't count what we give in bill financing, but in bill grant. And by the end of the calendar year, we expect for clean water bill that all federal fiscal year 2022 and 2023 bill dollars will have been approved by the Just wanted to tell you too, quick show a picture. On June 12th, EFC had its picnic. So there's a picture of all of us.
Hey.
Pretty much all of us showed up. There were just a few on vacation or had other appointments that couldn't go. So it's nice. It's a beautiful
What a
day.
great day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there we all are. Quickly. And then last time I mentioned it, that in response to the governor's transparency initiative back in February, EFC committed to doing a project impact dashboard. And so I mentioned it last month, and we are going to show you what it looks like. Hey, Mayor.
All right, so Steve, you want to
Yeah.
start?
So for this project impact dashboard, we created an interactive map. And this map allows the public to visually see and explore projects at EFC. And in addition to seeing where they are, it allows them to click on a project and get some basic information about that project. The map is interactive. You can zoom in, zoom out, pan. You can search for a location just like you would in Google Maps. And there are green pins for clean water projects, blue pins for drinking water projects. And in addition, Mayor will show you there are some filters that allow the public or municipalities to filter out and just see projects that are, say, environmental justice or disadvantaged communities. Also, if they have funding for just Bond Act projects, WIA IMG projects, and bill projects.
Yeah, so this is, for anyone familiar with our WIA map that we put up every year after a round, this is very similar to that type of interaction. But when people go to this and they click on, any random dot, they can see information about the project. So we have basic information, project number, description, the total project amount, the total funding amount that was provided by EFC, if they have any bill or WIA grant, and also, like Steve said, if they're in an EJ DAC or Bond Act area. We can also, some of the functionality that we have, so say we want to see what's around, I'll just put in our address right now. Say somebody wants to look at what's in their area and they'd like to just see what's going on. So around Albany, we have a number of different projects. And say I just want to look at if there are bill projects in the Albany area. So I can take a look and go through and identify that there's this dot right here for a bill project that's in Albany, a clean water. And if I want to know more about it, I can click on the dot and I can find out more information. I can also use these filters on the main map. So say I just wanted to come here and see all of the bill projects across New York State, you can see them across the area. Or if I wanted to just see EJ projects or projects that are identified that serving an EJ area or a DAC, disadvantaged community, and so on. So we are really trying to make this as interactive as possible for the public. Some other things that are going to be built into this for when it goes public on our website, which should be by the end of the month, if not sooner. We're going to have construction start and end dates as they're applicable to each project. So you'll know when a project has actually started and when it ends. What's showing right now are all of the projects that EFC and DOH have closed on in the last 5 years. So we're going to use that basically as our range. So as each year passes, we'll add the newest projects as they get approved and finalized. So this is what we have. We'll be putting this on our website shortly. We'll make sure that we advertise it widely so people can use this and find out. We're open to any feedback or questions that you have.
What a great tool. That is awesome.
Thank you.
And I wanted to introduce Steve Reingold as well, manager in our IT unit under Maureen McGrath. And he was instrumental too with working with Mayor on doing what you see and what you see in a little while, the maps with our projects in each board meeting.
Thank you.
Great transparency.
It's gratifying when you go to Mayor
Yeah.
and Steve and say, can we do this?
Yes,
And if
yes.
they look at you and say, yes,
Yeah.
we can. And it's just that simple. And here it is. It took a few months. We talked about it in February. They've been working on it for a
Yeah.
few months.
Doing it was easy, populating it.
Yeah.
Took some time.
Exactly.
Well, easy for them. I wouldn't even know where to start.
But we picked a 5-year rolling window
It's
going
right.
forward. We don't want to.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be.
Great, but it also gives you a look at where the dots are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hear you. Good.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Great. So that's all I got.
Great. Great stuff. I did not mention in my report that we did have both Finance and Audit Committee met, chaired by Director Corcoran and Krasansky respectively. So first item on the agenda is the committee report for Finance Committee, as Francis was the chair. Francis, take it away.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Board and staff. The Finance Committee met today, June 20th. We approved the minutes from our May 23rd, 2024 committee meeting. We also conducted an annual review and reassessment of the Finance Committee charter. There were no proposed changes to it. And so therefore, we took a vote and it's our and approved a recommendation by the committee to the full board that it approve and let the Finance Committee charter be readopted by the full board. And that will be ID number 1 on today's agenda. And we also had a presentation of the annual debt report issued for the fiscal year ended March 31, 2024.
Director Corcoran? There's
Yes.
actually two different items there. The first, the charter, there's going to be the vote and then there's going to be the ID number 1. So we actually just need to get a motion
right.
and a vote first.
Okay.
Before we move forward. Apologies for.
That's okay. Thank you, Francis.
Yep.
Yeah, so I will call for, as Francis recommended, a readoption of the charter. And Francis, were there any changes or anything, amendments to it?
Mr. Chairman, there were no changes and no proposed changes.
All right, so I'll take a motion in a second for that readoption of the committee charter.
So moved.
Thank you, Adam.
I'll second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous.
And apologies, Madam Secretary, you're correct. The second item is the one for presentation to today's full board. And it was, we received a presentation on the annual debt report for the fiscal year ended March 31, 2024. After review and discussion, it was a unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee that the annual debt report be accepted and approved by the full board upon presentation this afternoon as ID number 1 on our agenda. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman, and I thank all the members for their attendance today.
Thank you. Well done. All right. The next committee that met was the Audit Committee chaired by Director Krasansky. Charlie, take it away.
Thank you. The audit committee met and we were joined by Jeff and Grace from KPMG. They presented the audit from the last fiscal year ending March 31. And we reviewed the financial statements. So it is recommended by the audit committee that the full board accept and approve the auditor's report. So I look for a motion to approve it, that their report that we heard about this morning.
Well, so long as we qualify it as stellar, I'll make that motion.
Yeah, it was stellar.
And I will second it, Mr. Chair.
Right.
So discussion, anybody want to discuss that? We had a really good discussion in the audit committee and it was totally positive, as was said. Discussion or should we just vote to approve? Let's call for a vote to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, aye.
Unanimous.
Great, awesome.
Aye.
The lead partner, should we do that now?
And actually, just next one, it's sort of a two-part where
Oh, sorry.
there's just the recommendation as to whether or not the committee recommends adoption of the financial statements upon presentation of ID number 2.
Got it. So that would be ID number 2, forwarding to the full board. To make it ID number 2, the financial statements.
So the audit committee does so recommend?
Audit committee recommend that? Yes,
That was the vote, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the
Great.
committee,
awesome. So now we discuss the lead partner, correct?
yes, sir.
We discussed this in the audit committee meeting. Just every year, we talk about the nothing required. And we discussed his, that there's no need, frankly, we discussed that in the audit committee. Okay, and internal audit function. We discussed internal audit, that every year we, in our bylaws, I think we say that we discuss that and take an actual action, to create one or not. This year we decided not necessary. And so I would call for a motion to accept the recommendation that the audit committee made, that we do not need an internal auditor this year. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, great. All in favor of not creating an internal auditor?
Just before you vote, Charlie, just to make a note, which is based upon the conversation we did have in the audit committee, which is, I think, between the KPMG report, which was very stellar and robust, and the conversation we had about improvement in staffing and internal controls, I think the view, at least my sense of the view of the committee, was that there was significant confidence in the current controls, given the record and given the report we got from the auditors, that was not seen as a necessary step at this time.
Great, thank you.
Agreed, positive
I vote for
information
that.
of the
That doesn't
controls.
say I'm in
Yeah.
favor.
All in favor? Yep.
Aye.
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 Terrific, thank you, thank you.
Unanimous.
The audit committee charter, the audit committee did not recommend any changes. I'll make a motion to approve the charter as is for another year.
We have a second?
I see a second. I think Adam.
Adam raised his hand.
Adam, great. We have a second. All in favor of going with the same audit committee charter for another year?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you.
Unanimous again.
Terrific. That concludes my report from the audit committee.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Next item on the agenda is a review of committee performance. I will be asking for a motion and second and a vote on consent of the full board that the governance committee is effective in fulfilling its responsibilities. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Charlie. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, James. Any discussion? Okay. And just for full disclosure, Vita DeMarchi, who is not here today, is the chair of the governance committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. Next committee under review is the finance committee performance, chaired by Director Krasansky.
No.
Finance is Director Corcoran. A lot of committees on the brain. I'm going to recommend to the full board that conduct and annual's perfect performance of Chairman Corcoran and the committee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Charlie. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, James. Any discussion?
Appreciate the confidence of all my fellow board members.
Despite my word salad. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, fully unanimous. And then we have audit committee performance review. I'd recommend, again, vote of confidence in Director Krasansky's chairmanship and the performance of the committee. Do I have a motion for that one as well?
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. I think Adam gave.
Yeah,
the
so
second.
moved. Or second,
Second.
whatever.
Discussion, I think you got that. Kate, did you?
Yes.
That one? All right, no discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Next item. Pursuant to the corporation's bylaws, each member of a committee shall serve until the next annual meeting, which is today, and therefore until they are reappointed or a successor is appointed. My recommendation is to the reappointment of the committee memberships consisting of the following. Audit Committee, chaired by Director Krasansky, also including Director Corcoran, DeMarchi, and Zarowski. Finance Committee, chaired by Director Corcoran and assisted by Director DeMarchi, Krasansky, and Zarowski. And then Governance Committee, chaired by Director DeMarchi and assisted by Directors Corcoran, Krasansky, and Zarowski. I'll take a motion for the reappointment of those committees.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Charlie. How about a second? Thank you, James. Discussion. Wonderful. All those in favor of the reappointments?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. All right. Unless there's any unfinished business anyone would like to bring up, we'll move into resolutions. Hey, Kate, let's go with ID number 1, please.
Certainly. A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the review and approval of the annual debt report of the corporation.
Thank you very much. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
So
I'll
moved.
make a motion.
Okay, I think that was Adam and Christine. And presentations will be by Emily and Albert.
Good afternoon. It's funny because I started saying good morning. So good afternoon. For the debt report this year, we are covering the 3 series issued in fiscal year 2024. They have a total par value of 539 million. And in addition, we did 1 IFP, the industrial financing program issuance, and that was for Casella. Albert will go ahead and walk us through the specific details.
Thanks, Emily. So there are 3 schedules on the report, the first of which lists EFC's SRF debt by series. And there were 3 series issued in state fiscal year 24. The first is 2023A, which is a standalone refunding of 3 prior series, 2012B, 2012E, and 2013B under the 2010 MFI for a total par of 151 million. And this included no refinancings of EFC short terms. The second series, 23B, was a New York City indenture series, totaling 302 million in par value, refunded series 2013A, as well as short-term financings for clean water and drinking water for New York City. Finally, 2023C under the 2010 MFI for a total par of 86 million. This refinanced short terms for clean water and drinking water and did not include a refunding of prior EFC issuances. The second schedule on the report lists debt issued under EFC's private activity and industrial financing programs. There was one addition this year, which was a second tranche of Casella Waste's 2020 financing, series 2020R-2, which closed in August of 23 for a total par of 35 million and has a maturity date of September 2030. The third and final schedule lists cost of issuance paid for EFC series 2023A, 2023B, and 2023C. Questions?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Albert and Emily. Okay. All those in favor of ID number 1?
I'm sorry, I actually have a question. I'm trying
Sure.
to figure out if I'm looking at the most current version of this, but the first series looked like a couple of them matured in 1953 from 2003. And I don't know if there was a correction sent out on another copy of the meeting materials.
Going 2033 for maturity.
Maybe 40 years. Maybe 40 years.
It looks like it, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but Schedule 1, the 2020,
53.
yeah,
It's just a.
it's a typo. Just want to make sure everybody was.
Oh,
aware
all
of
right.
It's
that.
probably in 2053, it's just the way that if you don't put in 2053 into Excel, it shows up with 19.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
It's
fix
just
that.
a.
Flagging for awareness to
Catch,
correct the typo.
Yeah.
We'll get that fixed.
All right. Well, thank you, Christine, on that. And I think we were at the voting stage. So all those in favor of ID number 1? Aye. Unopposed, unanimous. ID number 2.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation accepting the financial statements of the corporation for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2024.
Thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion and a second for ID number 2?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie. Second, please. Christine and James both rose their hand. Emily and Albert will be presenting again.
Hello. For our audited financial statements this year, in general, EFC had a great year. Our net position increased by 752 million and was positive across all funds, including the admin funds. As discussed during the financial plan, for the past few years, the primary drivers of this, we had increased project grant revenues and higher interest income on our investments. Of note about this, I would just highlight the fact that with the build program, we expect that this trend of high increases will last, but then as the bill funds spend off, that will decrease over time. So we just kind of want to set that expectation with folks that we're drawing in those revenues now, but as that program spends out, we will see a change in future years that is not concerning. It is projected. But saying all that, we're in great shape, and I'll let Albert go over some of the details of the program.
Thanks, Emily. Yep. So some specific highlights on the statement of net position. So cash equivalents, and investments increased 211 million year over year, and primarily due to those additional cap grant draws that Emily mentioned. We also had a short-term financings increase of 340 million. And so this is somewhat of a timing issue. We had a series close 2024A immediately after the end of the fiscal year. So with that, you will see that 340 million largely converted into bonds payable and bonds receivable, which decreased year over year 167 and $152 million respectively. So all expected changes, and we'll see the funds continue to sort of revolve in that way. On the statement of revenues, expenses, and net position changes, otherwise known as the income statement. So that large increase year over year was really driven by project grant revenues. So we had 675 million in grant revenues this year, largely due to drawing in bill funds. So 675 versus 426 million last year, so a $249 million year over year increase. We also saw significant investment income of approximately 139 million as a driver of that increase. So the high level measure I like to use of the success of the fund is project grant revenues less the grants we dispersed. So that should approximately match our change in net position, and it's just an indication that the fund is working as designed. So that number is $641 million versus the $751 million increase in net position. And so that difference is the increase in investment income. So really shows that everything is working as expected financially for EFC.
Great. Thank you, Albert. Questions for Albert or Emily? Excellent. Okay, all those in favor of ID number 2? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed, unanimous. ID number 3.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the annual review and approval of the investment guidelines and the investment report of the corporation.
Thank you, Kate. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. But a second. Thank you, Christine. Again, Emily and Henrik this time as well presenting.
Good afternoon. For your consideration, board members, are the investment guidelines. We did make one change. Currently in the approval process, we have the CFO, Director of Public Finance, approving investment decisions by staff members, or in lieu of that, the president. And what we'd like to add is the president or the executive vice president. Currently, our bylaws provide that the executive vice president attains duties that are basically delegated by the president. I just think it's cleaner if we add executive vice president to the investment guidelines. So are there any questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henrik.
And then I was just gonna
Okay,
note,
sure.
yeah, there's the investment report is also required to be submitted annually and is included in your package. There are basically 5 sections in the investment report. The first has the investment guidelines, which Henrik just mentioned. The second section has results of the audit, which was presented today by KPMG. This third section has the investment income record that will show basically the change in that position that Albert just referenced with 139.4 million. The fourth is a list of fees, commissions, and chargebacks paid to each bank. There were none of those this year. And lastly, the fifth section has an inventory of investments held by the corporation. So that's the full inventory there. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
We still have a quorum, so if you want to call for a vote, but if you want to wait just a moment till Director Krasansky is back, that's also
30 seconds.
okay. Giving them a fair 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. All right, we will move to a vote while Director Krasansky is out of the room for a second. We do still have a quorum. All those in favor of ID number 3? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. ID number 4.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the annual review and approval of the corporation's guidelines for the disposition of property.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion and a second of ID number 4, please? Thank you, James and Christine with the motion and a second. Director Krasansky has returned, and Maureen McGrath will present.
Thank you. Before you again this year are the guidelines for the disposition of property pursuant to section 2896 of the Public Authorities Law. EFC must adopt by resolution policy and instructions regarding the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of contracts for the disposal of property and designate a contracting officer who's responsible for compliance. These guidelines are before you every year and reviewed and approved. EFC shall maintain adequate inventory controls and accountability for all of its property, inventory its property to determine which property shall be disposed of, produce a written report of such, and transfer or dispose of such property as promptly as possible. EFC is required to publish a list and post it on our public website, as well as submit it with our Public Authority Reporting Information System, PARIS, each June. That is currently on our website. There were no changes to these guidelines, and we did not dispose of any property over $5,000.
Great, thank you. Discussion. Excellent. All those in favor of ID number 4? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. No votes. Okay, ID number 8. As just previously discussed, we're moving ID number 8 up and up for timing purposes.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement grants.
Great, thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
A motion.
James, thank you.
Second.
Francis, thank you on the second. Bill Brazel will be presenting.
Good afternoon. We have a very large 20 clean water projects before the board today. First, we have a short-term financing for the city of Auburn in Cayuga County. This is a bill project, $25 million in bill grant, and also a $9 million WIA grant. The city of Auburn is currently undertaking a project to improve their solids handling process at the wastewater treatment plant. And next year they will begin construction of a new overflow retention facility at the treatment plant. The overflow retention facility will allow them to reduce the frequency and volume of combined sewer overflows into a Wasco outlet. Construction is expected to be complete in October 2026. Next, we have a short-term financing for the village of Broad Alban in Fulton County. Broad Alban has a small 150,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant, and they are adding disinfection to their facility, expected to be complete by the deadline of May 2025. Next, we have another short-term financing. This for the village of Canisteo in Steuben County. The project includes replacement of equipment throughout the treatment plant, including a new ultraviolet disinfection system. The project also includes replacement of the 2nd Street pump station. Project was supported by an engineering planning grant from 2018. Construction is expected to start later this summer and be complete in June of 2026. Now we have a long-term financing for the village of Clyde in Wayne County. Clyde has a 400,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant. They did a variety of improvements in the treatment plant, including the addition of ultraviolet disinfection as required by DEC. And this project was supported by an engineering planning grant from 2017. Next, we have another long-term financing for the village of Endicott in Broome County. The Endicott wastewater treatment plant had been severely impacted by flooding in 2006 and again by Hurricane Lee in 2011. This project included many flood mitigation improvements to raise critical equipment above the 500-year flood elevation and other efforts to make the equipment more resilient to flooding. The community also received money from FEMA in addition to funding from us. And construction is expected to be complete later this summer. Next, another long-term financing is for the village of Gouverneur in St. Lawrence County. Gouverneur has a combined sewer system, and this project separated the combined sewers on a few streets within the community. Construction was complete in July 2023. Next, we have a long-term interest-free financing for the town of Jasper in Steuben County. Jasper has a 35,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant. They did a variety of improvements throughout their treatment plant, including the installation of ultraviolet disinfection as required by DEC. They also upgraded a pump station in the facility. This project had been supported by an engineering planning grant from 2015. Next, we have another short-term financing. This is for the city of Little Falls in Herkimer County. Little Falls is adding ultraviolet disinfection to their treatment plant, again, as required by DEC. This is a bill project, about $3.5 million in bill grant, and nearly $1.9 million WIA grant to the village. Next, we have a long-term financing for the village of Malone in Franklin County. Malone had made a variety of improvements to their wastewater treatment plant, also including the addition of ultraviolet disinfection. They did some work within their collection system to reduce inflow and infiltration. This project had been around for a while, had engineering planning grants from back as far as 2012 and 2013. Next, we have another long-term financing. This is for the town of Orleans in Jefferson County. The town of Orleans had undertaken the upgrade of a collection system and wastewater treatment plant that serves a seasonal residential community on Wellesley Island in the St. Lawrence River. This was a project completed over a number of years, mostly by town forces, and is nearing completion. It should be completed this summer. All right, 10 down, 10 to go. Village of Painted Post in Steuben County. They have a WIA grant for this project, 500,000 gallon per day wastewater treatment plant, and they are adding chlorine disinfection to this facility, along with some other miscellaneous improvements. Painted Post had received the engineering planning grant in 2017. Construction's underway, should be completed this fall. And we have a short-term financing for the village of Port Leyden in Lewis County. It's another bill project, $200,000 bill grant. It could be higher if their current budget is 200,000 or authorization of 356. They have a small facility, 55,000 gallons per day, and they're looking to increase the capacity to 75,000 gallons per day. Construction is expected to start in July and be complete in November. And we have a long-term financing for the town of Rosendale in Ulster County. Rosendale is also, they expanded their facility from 100,000 to 150,000 gallons per day. They eliminated chlorine disinfection and replaced it with a ultraviolet disinfection system, and construction should be wrapping up this summer. We have a long-term financing for the village of Sylvan Beach in Oneida County. Sylvan Beach undertook some upgrades in their collection system, replaced about 3,000 feet of existing gravity sewer, and upgraded a pump station, along with some other miscellaneous improvements. This project had received an engineering planning grant from 2016. Then we have another bill project. This is for the town of Thompson in Sullivan County. Thompson is undertaking improvements to the Kayamisha Lake Sewer District. Project includes ultraviolet disinfection and other upgrades and improvements throughout the wastewater treatment plant. And then on to the village of Mount Vernon in Oneida County. This project is receiving a WIA grant, short-term financing. The village of Vernon is modifying their wastewater treatment plant from conventional secondary treatment to a membrane bioreactor in order to comply with a new phosphorus limit. This project had received engineering planning grant in 2021, and construction is expected to be complete in 2026. And then we'll complete our list of projects with 4 short-term financings for Westchester County. The first 3 projects are taking place at the 120 million gallon per day Yonkers Joint Wastewater Treatment Plant. First project is to upgrade and replace the HVAC system and odor control improvements throughout the plant for about $27 million. The second project is for some upgrades and rehabilitation of the secondary treatment system, some minor improvements at the secondary treatment system. And then the third project is being undertaken by the New York Power Authority as an energy services contract. This project includes the installation of 2 dual fuel cogeneration engines, can operate on digester gas or natural gas. And this project is expected to result in a 37% electrical energy savings at the treatment plant, which is rather significant. Construction is expected to be complete in December 2025. And then finally, we have the final Westchester County project is for collection system improvements at various places throughout the county. They're looking to rehabilitate approximately 3 miles of existing sanitary sewer throughout the county, and construction is underway, expected to be complete in September. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Chairman, a great job in presenting all those projects. You know, it's also good to see since 2016 and 2017 and as recent as 2021, all the great oaks that have grown from the acorns, that is the engineering planning grants, which have allowed people to, to do these projects. And so to see them come to fruition is actually, it's always great to see those in your reports. So thanks for always including them.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's a great program. It's really helped a lot of communities to get a project started.
How much funding for the engineering planning grant for this year?
3
million?
Okay.
which bring to the board.
Right, we have not opened that for applications yet, so.
Yeah, those are just like I would second what Francis said. It's just so makes such a difference for a community to test an idea, to have somebody come forward and put something
they can get
on the table.
Get an engineering report, then they can identify what the problem is, get an idea of what the cost is going to be to improve their facilities or build new facilities.
Yep, and the list that you rattled off, such an impressive list. Thanks for that. And then I connected with your transparency, and I'm thinking there are so many measurable. I think they're measurable. You mentioned benefits to, Wasco Lake, Mohawk River, Hudson River. These sort of, again, I wish there was a way of quantifying. Again, there's some of this measurable benefit that you're
measurable improvement in water quality
to these water bodies that could be, again, not everything, not everywhere, but somehow measuring that and having people understand that when you do a project like that and look at the benefits to that water body, and then even extending it to the CLCPA on some of the energy savings that
could be significant.
Right.
A wastewater treatment plant is a significant user of energy.
Oh, no, exactly. And so you reduce the energy use, and sometimes we're increasing energy use, but when you're doing the opposite or obviously cleaning water, that's the goal. Some of that's measurable. I wish it was some way to document it, but eventually maybe we'll do it. But again, it's just great information to have.
Great.
Terrific, thank you.
Anyone else have anything to add or questions for Bill?
Bill, thank you.
Great. Okay, all those in favor of ID number 8?
Aye.
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 Okay, looks unanimous, unopposed. Thank you, Bill. ID, we're gonna go back now to ID number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, I'll take a motion in a second, please. James and Christine with the motion in the second. Thank you. Rebecca Walker will present.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The first project is the town of Delaware in Sullivan County. This project involves the town of Delaware taking over management of the Calhoun Water District, bring the system into regulatory compliance. It includes replacement of undersized and leaking distribution mains, installation of water meters, and redevelopment of 2 wells. We're seeking authorization to extend the maturity date of the financing to September 19th, 2026. The project was initially delayed in 2022 after a DOH inspection identified wells 1 and 2 in the existing spring sources as potentially groundwater under direct influence of surface water. To resolve this issue, it was determined that instead of redeveloping these wells, 2 new water sources needed to be developed and a new water treatment building constructed. The town then subsequently ran into further delays caused by land acquisition proceedings. And although these proceedings are now complete, the town needs additional time to complete the project. The second project is the town of Petersburg in Rensselaer County. This project includes development of a new supply well and improvement to existing wells, and expansion and upgrades to the existing treatment plant. We're seeking authorization to extend the maturity date approximately 20 months to June 30th, 2026. This project was bid in summer of 2023, but negotiations with the selected contractor continued until February of this year, causing delays. Construction has now begun and is anticipated to be done at the end of this year. However, since the project may not be ready for inclusion in the 2025 pool, we're asking to extend the maturity date out an additional year to allow for possible inclusion in EFC's 2026 pool. And the last project is the town of Prattsville in Greene County. This project is for development of a new groundwater well to provide required source redundancy. The town is currently operating with only a single water source, and the town's previous backup well has been out of service since it was severely damaged in Hurricane Irene. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date of this financing to September of 2026. Initial delays were due to several unsuccessful attempts to find a new groundwater source. The town is now pursuing reuse and treatment of the existing backup well, but has encountered further delays caused by the need to acquire wellhead protection easements at the emergency source. This extension will give the town time to utilize a special counsel to complete the easement acquisition process and complete installation of a spray aeration treatment system within the water storage tank. Questions?
Thank you. Questions for Rebecca? Great. Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of ID number 5?
Aye.
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 Unopposed, unanimous. ID number 6.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement grants.
Thank you, Kate. I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Please. Thank you, Charlie.
Second.
Thank you, Francis. Dave Phillips will present.
Okay, thank you. There are 8 drinking water projects before the board today. First one is for the city of Batavia in Genesee County. This will be for a WIA grant. The project includes major upgrades to their existing water treatment plant. Several of the treatment components are severely aged and deteriorated, and they will be upgraded or replaced. These include filter media, chemical feed systems, pumps, HVA system, structural components, and electrical components. The next project is for the village of Bath in Steuben County. This is for a WIA grant and a short-term market rate financing. Project includes installation of approximately 18,000 linear feet of new water main and some replacement water mains, also valves and hydrants along New York State routes 54 and 415. The project also includes replacement of all existing water meters. The project will loop dead ends and replace severely aged and deficient water mains. The system has a history of frequent breaks and leaks, and in recent years, they had water records showing water losses up to as much as 44%. So that'll correct that severe deficiency. Next up is the village of Garden City in Nassau County. This is for a WIA grant. It's for a new advanced oxidation process, or AOP, and granular activated carbon, or GAC, treatment systems to remove 1,4-dioxane, PFOA, and PFOS from existing well number 9. Next is the city of Gloversville in Fulton County. This includes a WIA grant, short-term interest-free financing, and a short-term market rate financing. The project includes a new booster pump station at the South Eagle Street storage tank, new isolation valves and pressure relief valves along the transmission main, and water treatment plant upgrades, including structural upgrades at several of the treatment basins, valve replacement, and rehab and replacement of some process piping. This project will correct treatment and distribution pressure deficiencies. Next is the Jericho Water District in Nassau County. This is for an EC WIA grant. This is a new AOP system along with the GAC system to remove 1,4-dioxane and PFOA from their existing well number 22. Next is the village of Philadelphia in Jefferson County. This is a long-term project with an interest-free financing. The project included upgrades to an existing spring box and infiltration gallery to bring those up to code so they can use them. Upgrade and connection of an existing previously unused well. A new treatment plant to treat the well and the spring sources. A new finished water transmission main to connect those sources into the existing system. It also included repainting and addition of a mixing system at their existing storage tank. So this project addressed surface water treatment rule violation that was issued in 2018 for sources that were groundwater under the direct influence of surface water. And it also addressed source capacity issues and deficiencies at the village's storage tank. Next is the town of Tustin in Sullivan County. This is for a WIA grant and a short-term market rate financing. This project includes replacement of an existing storage tank, upgrades to their existing wells 1 and 3, and installation and replacement of approximately 35,000 linear feet of water mains. Also a new booster pump station. This project will address the town's overall aging water system infrastructure and address several deficiencies, including updates in addition of automated controls to communicate between the wells and the storage tank, replacement of the aged tank and water mains, which are beyond their useful life, looping of dead end mains, and addressing pressure issues in the distribution system. The last project is for the Water Authority of Western Nassau County. This is for a WIA grant, and this is a new GAC treatment system to remove PFAS from 5 wells at their station number 15. Questions on any of those?
Great, thanks, Dave. Okay, we'll move to a vote of the ID number 6. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Okay, final resolution, ID number 7.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the apologies, that should say the drinking water, or no, it is the clean water. I apologize, out of order. I am so sorry. In connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Thank you, Kate. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
James and Christine, thank you respectively. Thank you. Rebecca Walker again.
Thank you. The first project is in the village of Alfred in Allegheny County. This project includes rehabilitation and upgrades to the village's wastewater treatment plant. We're seeking authorization for a funding increase of $700,000 and an extension of the maturity date to October 17th, 2026. When this project originally received bids in late 2021, costs came in higher than expected. And as a result of lower priority work proposed at the plant was removed to keep the project within budget. With the work nearing completion and approximately $500,000 left in the budget, the village has decided to advance the remainder of the originally planned work, as well as add in additional work that was identified as needed during construction. This additional work is expected to be bid as a separate contract this summer, with all work completed by the end of 2025. The next project is in the town of Shenango in Shenango County, or Broome County, sorry. This project includes the design and construction of collection system improvements and expansion of the Northgate wastewater treatment plant in the town of Shenango. We're seeking authorization for a funding increase and an extension of the maturity date to May 31st, 2027. When this project closed in 2020, total project costs were estimated at $23.5 million. But when the town opened bids in 2022, bids came in much higher than expected and the town rejected all bids. They decided to delay the project and seek additional funding. They were able to secure a second WQIP grant for $10 million, a congressional earmark for $2 million, and then bid and award the project within the new budget. Although the funding increase at this time is still significant, at $23 million, the town will recoup $11 million of that when they receive and turn over the 2 WQIP grants that they are pre-financing with us. And the last project is the village of Saranac Lake in Franklin County. This project includes upgrades to the village's wastewater treatment plant, which serves the village of Saranac Lake, the towns of North Elba and Harrietstown, and 2 correctional facilities located in Raybrook, New York. The upgrades will help protect the Saranac River, a Class C water body, and thereby Lake Champlain through the reduced phosphorus loading. We're seeking authorization for a 1-year maturity extension to August of 2025 to allow time for the village to receive an executed WQIP grant contract, turn those funds over to EFC, and finalize all costs prior to converting to a long-term financing.
Thank you very much. Questions for Rebecca? Bless you, Albert. Okay, we'll move to a vote for ID number 7. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Well done, team. Big agenda. I have no new business, so we'll go to a motion for adjournment. The next meeting, after about a 60-day break, is August 22nd, 2024 at 11:30. I'll take a motion and a second for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie. Wait a second. James, thank you. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Summer.
Likewise, Adam. We are adjourned.
Thanks.